Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report, and I want to talk about a mock draft that myself, Jeremy Chuggs, and the entire Chat Sports team did. We went live on Thursday where every single person who runs their own individual team selected players in a 3-round mock draft. So I ended up taking players at 6, 37, and at 68. We're going to go through all those, but I had a lot of people ask, Mitch, can you at least give us a full mock draft? So I also ended up going through and taking the rest of the players that we did not do in the live show. If you missed the live show, it's probably because you're not subscribed. It's all good. Go check it out. That video is going to be available to y'all down in the comments, down in the description of the show. The photo that I literally just had up on screen, that's the thumbnail here. But the reason why I want you to subscribe to the Raiders Report, if you're looking for more draft content, we only got one more week to go. Hallelujah, right? Can't wait for the draft. But if you're still craving draft content, I promise you this, we're still going to be providing it. So here's how the 2025 draft at Chat Sports ended up going down. Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, Will Campbell, Tyler Warren. Maybe not too many big surprises in there besides Warren. We ended up going with Ashton Jeanty here at the Raiders Report, just for the simple fact of we let the audience vote. The votes came in. The audience wanted Jeanty. Though, Armin Membu would have been my personal pick, and I think a lot of y'all know that. From 9 all the way down to 16, you got Shedeur Sanders, which I think is a little bit of an interesting one out there. A lot of eyes are going to be drawn to that pick. From 17 down to 24, some wide receivers started to go off the board, like Luther Burden, which made me a little bit concerned about which some receivers could fall in the round 2 area. From 25 to 32 to round out round 1, I thought that the Chiefs being able to get a tackle overall prospect there was a little bit of a unfortunate thing because I want the offensive line to struggle. Jaden Higgins, Troy Amos, two players that I talk about a lot, also ended up going off the board. So for me personally, I ended up going with Ashton Jeanty, and I'm making this video literally right after the moment that John Spytek spoke to the media on Friday, and one of the things that Spytek said, he was like, I don't understand why we as the NFL now are out on running backs being valuable, and there's no doubt about it. Ashton Jeanty is the best running back in this year's class, and I think whatever team he's going to be on, he's going to be valuable because of what he's able to bring to the table, not only on the field and on the field. I mean, you can see the numbers. 374 carries, 2,601, and 29 touchdowns last season for the Boise State Broncos. But he's also a stand-up human being who had an opportunity to get to know John Spytek and the Raiders running back coach, McCullough, after his pro day in Boise. And the Raiders running back room, let's not get it twisted. I mean, this is a weak running back room. Yes, they went out, they added Raheem Mostert, but besides that, there's a lot of unknown commodities in there. So when you go out and you draft a running back high, he better be dynamic. And I love the fact that Spytek in an interview literally talked about the Philadelphia Eagles and how much Saquon Barkley changed that team and how much he thought Saquon honestly helped them go out and win a Super Bowl. So by you going out and getting Jeanty, that tells me that this team's going to be running the football a lot. So we decided to go with Ashton Jeanty in the mock draft. My question to you is, who do you want the Raiders to pick at number 6? This is going to be the pinned comment here on today's show. While you're getting hit with that YouTube bad break, I want you to scroll on down and give me your answer. For me, I want Armin Membu or Ashton Jeanty. Those are the top 2 picks that I would look at for the silver and black. But because of that statement, and I know running back's a huge need. I know wide receiver's a huge need. Cornerback, safety, linebacker. The silver and black do have a lot of needs, and for me personally, it's why I'm also on board for, potentially trading back. We didn't do any trade backs in this mock draft, so just keep that in mind. Let's now go to round 2. You're going to see who I ended up taking at 37, and I'll tell you why I ended up going that route here in just a moment. But Tyler Booker was available to me, and I felt like that was great value. Though, one of the spots that I want you to look at, because I said earlier that I thought about going with Armin Membu, and then I could have also had somebody like Trevion Henderson, who ended up falling all the way down to the Dallas Cowboys at pick number 44. Also some good offensive linemen that were on the board, like a Donovan Jackson. I was kind of surprised that he fell to 48. Some wide receivers also in this range started to go. I thought the value of somebody like Xavier Watts going all the way down to 56 to the Buffalo Bills was really, really good value. Siobhan Revel Jr., somebody that we've talked about multiple times that the Raiders have met with, went at pick 57. Kevin Winston Jr. is a safety prospect that I do like a lot. Jalen Newell going to Kansas City, I'm not going to lie, was a huge punch in the you-know-what, but it is what it is. The reason why I decided to go with Tyler Booker, and I don't think offensive guard is as big of a need as safety, linebacker, wide receiver, right? And again, running back, but I took Ashton Jeanty. In my mind, if you're going to go out and you're going to take a running back like Jeanty, well, then we got to be able to bolster that offensive line a little bit. And the thought of putting Tyler Booker, who is a mean mother effer, a captain at Alabama, and is somebody that wants to cause pain to anybody around him, and then you put him next to Jackson Powers-Johnson, and then that's where you're going to be running with Ashton Jeanty. I'll tell you what, I don't want to tackle that in the fourth quarter. I don't want to tackle that in December and January. Because for a guy like Booker, who is Tom Downey's number 2 guard in this year's draft, 26th overall player, so you could look at it as best player available, which is what I did. Great size, anchor with insane power at the guard position. Highest praise for his leadership abilities. Does lack elite athleticism and foot quickness, which you could see at the NFL Combine. But, I mean, I'm still a believer that the Raiders are going to get a deal done with Kolton Miller. And I think one of the reasons why we're not talking about it now is because the Raiders are focused on the draft, and they're confident that they're going to be able to get that deal done. But if it's Kolton Miller, Tyler Booker, and Jackson Powers-Johnson on the left side of your offensive line, I promise you this. Geno Smith's going to be launching the ball, and we're going to be able to have a solid running game. You're just improving your line. Meredith is a good backup. Alex Kappa could be a good backup. Then you got DJ Glaze and Dylan Parham over on the right side. The first 2 picks, really interesting, but I ended up going with Booker instead of a need because I thought we needed to upgrade the line with going with Jeanty. We got more picks coming up here in just a moment, but today's show is sponsored by Game Time, the official ticketing partner here at the Raiders Report and at Chat Sports. This is the place where I trust to get my tickets. It's the place where Chugs trusts to get his tickets. I've used Game Time for the past few years, and I can't tell you how many times that they've been able to save me a lot of money. You can actually save up to 60% off by buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theater. Game Time Picks makes last-minute ticket buying easier than ever by quickly highlighting the best deals in the stadium. You can also see the super deal, which to me is one of the best ways to get that lowest price guaranteed. Another good tip here is prices drop the closer that the event gets. So whether you're trying to maybe go watch an NBA playoff game, maybe you're trying to go watch an NHL playoff game, playoff season is all about energy and it's all about excitement. And if you're trying to put your butt in a seat at a discounted price to be able to enjoy those memories, because you're going to keep those memories forever. You might not always remember the score, unless your team ends up winning. And if anybody ends up beating the Rockets this year, I'm definitely going to remember those scores for Chugs. But if you want to be able to have those memories for life, download the Game Time app. And I'm telling you right now, create an account, use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Chat Sports, if you don't know how to spell it, it's CHATSPORTS. It's down there below. Shit, I almost kind of forgot it there for a second. But huge shout out to Game Time for sponsoring today's show and hooking up the nation with the lowest price guaranteed. Let's go to the third round now, where I was able to get potentially, I thought, one of the biggest steals in this entire Chat Sports mock draft. I, quite frankly, couldn't believe that Carson Schwesinger fell all the way down to me at 68. And if you ended up watching the draft show live, I was hoping that I was going to be able to pick between him and Benjamin Morrison, cornerback out of Notre Dame, but he went right in front of me, and it would have been a cool debate to have live on the chat with everybody tuned in. So I was able to get Schwesinger, though, which still, again, 136 tackles, one of the best linebacking prospects in this year's draft. To me, he's, I think, the number 2 behind Jihad Campbell in terms of just pure overall linebacker. But as you can see in Tom Downey's rankings, the 47th player overall, I was able to get at 68. In my personal opinion, this Raiders draft that we had was really solid because you got good football players, best available, and you were able to have dudes that love football. I mean, the scouting report on Carson Schwesinger is, yeah, he's undersized, but quick and quality tackler who can hold up in coverage. Great at processing, feel for where the ball is going. Maybe a little bit of a tweener from a physical standpoint and lacks some power. But in today's day and age, you want a sideline-to-sideline linebacker that you can put on the field next to somebody like a Landon Roberts. And, you know, the thought that just came into my mind is we always talk about running backs being thunder and lightning. Carson Schwesinger is the lightning to a Landon Roberts thunder. And I love that two linebacker duo in a Patrick Graham system. So on our live mock draft, which, again, you can go check it out. It's the show that we did on Tuesday, and it was about a 4-hour, 5-hour live stream. The picks that I ended up going with, Ashton Jeanty, Tyler Booker, Carson Schwesinger. I want to know down below how you would grade that, A, B, C, D, or F. For me personally, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, that's an A draft for the Raiders. I'll admit, I think that I could have had an A+, and this would have been better for me in my mind if it would have been Armin Membu, Trevian Henderson, Carson Schwesinger. To me, I do like that better, but again, I am somebody that really values Armin Membu and being able to build that offensive line. I love, though, the fact that I was able to get Jeanty, who, out of all those players that I mentioned, might be the highest graded overall prospect. Again, I do love me some Membu. But then you also were able to get a mean mother effer in Tyler Booker, who's going to be a great pairing next to JPJ. And then you're able to get a great linebacker who's got a lot of good connections with this Raiders team and Carson Schwesinger. So what I wanted to be able to do is now kind of just roll through the remainder of the mock draft that I ended up doing here at Chat Sports, just to kind of show you how the board fell, which players were available, and who I ended up taking. I wanted to go corner, and there weren't a lot of other players that I was really all that crazy about. Jacob Parrish from Kansas State is a good player, undersized. You know, I don't want to just keep saying every undersized corner that reminds me of Amik Robertson, but the fight, the will, the want to be out there and be great. Also, one of the biggest needs I think you could argue right now for the Raiders is a nickel corner. Jacob Parrish, I think, could be in a certain role like that if Pete Carroll wants him to do it, and I do trust Pete Carroll to do the best with his secondary players. Let's go to round 5 now, pick 143. I'm going to go with Jaylin Lane, who is a speedster. Definitely a little bit more of a slot receiver overall, but in my mind, because I was not able to get a receiver in this year's, mock draft that I did, and this would also indicate to me that the Raiders, then you got to go out and you got to get a Keenan Allen. You got to go out, you got to try to get a Tyler Lockett, another player in the draft. But Jaylin Lane, and the slot ability that he provides you, he's a better receiver than Trey Tucker. I just don't think he has as much juice in his legs as somebody like Tucker. Let's go now to round 6, pick 180. I was able to get safety Malachi Moore, who did have a top 30 visit, or at least met with the Raiders at the Combine. My memory's kind of getting... I don't think he had a top 30 visit. He met with the Raiders at the NFL Combine, but the Raiders do need a safety, and they kind of need a free safety. I still would say that safety would be a need after this mock draft. Again, I'm not somebody that believes in Isaiah Paul-Lamau as being a free safety. I love him as a strong safety, versatile chess player, but if you're telling me it's Jeremy Chinn and Isaiah Paul-Lamau on that back end, that does make me a little bit nervous. Round 6, pick 213, I was able to go corner here with Zah Frazier, UTSA, another player that the Raiders do like. Somebody that, the silver and black had a top 30 visit with, 6 interceptions, 9 PBUs. I don't want to throw out the name Tariq Woolen every time I talk about UTSA, but Tariq Woolen was an athletically freak athlete at UTSA that Pete Carroll ended up going with. Zah Frazier's kind of the version, the Dollar General version of somebody like Zah Frazier. Let's go to round 6, 215 here. Nazir Stackhouse, and this guy is a Stackhouse. That's really, truly what the name is. At 6'3", 325 pounds, the Raiders have been looking for a nose tackle with some of the visits that they've had, and I know that this is a position that they just want to have bulk up their interior defensive line a little bit, and it's an area that, quite frankly, I do think that they need. The final pick that I was able to go with here in this mock draft, round 7, at 222, Jackson Slater, another player that the Raiders had a top 30 visit with, another offensive lineman that's, a little bit versatile. Yes, it's a smaller school guy, but if you tell me I can get some versatility and a player that did well at the senior day compared to where I think he was supposed to do, I think that matters to the Raiders, and again, it's in round 7. So let's just say all around that this was the Chat Sports mock draft, okay, that the Raiders ended up running. How would you grade this overall? And I want you to scale it from 1 to 100. 1, you don't like it at all. 100, it's an absolute slam dunk. Ashton Jeanty in round 1, Tyler Booker in round 2, Carson Schwesinger in round 3, Jacob Parrish in round 4, Jaylin Lane round 5, Malachi Moore in round 6, Zah Frazier also at 213, Nazir Stackhouse at 215, and then Jackson Slater in round 7. 9 total picks. This was what my mock draft looked like. If you want to take a picture of this, and if you want to post it on Instagram or on Twitter, I'm at Mitchell Renz 365. I would love to know what your thoughts are and maybe where you could have potentially gone different. I would like to know where you guys could go different. And if you're going to let me know, all I ask, go back and watch the live draft that we did again on Thursday. It's on the YouTube channel.